Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Yes, please.
This is one of the most extraordinary
Oh wait, Roman. Hey guys, my name's Connor. If you're new, let's learn Roman. Rare. I can't talk right now. Rare Roman armor found in Europe. Jesus Christ, I'm not restarting. Hope you guys are doing well. My name's Connor. If you're new, the original link to the video from history at the top of the description. Let's go.
pieces of Roman armor.
And as you can see from the thumbnail here, pretty complete.
Ever found. This is one of the most extraordinary pieces of Roman armor ever found. More than 2,000 years old, these fragments of metal belong to a type of breastplate that has become synonymous with Rome's most iconic soldiers, the Legionaries. It's called lorica segmentata, banded, segmented armor.
Do you have any idea what the story is behind this particular piece?
I have been told by the Calcresa people that somebody died inside. They know that from the chemical traces in the soil.
You might immediately associate...
Was there a skeleton? Or...
From the chemical traces in the soil.
You might immediately associate this with Rome's military power, its martial strength, but context is everything. Because this, in fact, is a remnant of one of Rome's greatest defeats.
Teutoburg Forest.
For the first time ever, this armor has left Germany to be the showstopper
Oh my god, I might be right. It's found in Germany.
of a brand new exhibition at the British Museum all about the Roman army, Legion. I've received special behind-the-scenes access to learn more about its story. The team have to be incredibly careful when building this armor, attaching each metal plate with pinpoint precision. It's a time-consuming and complex process, but there's no one better to oversee its building than curator Christiane.
I am so bad with that. I could never be a surgeon, even if I was smart enough to be a surgeon, which I'm not. I'm not ashamed there. You'd be dead, and I would break everything here.
But there's no one better to oversee its building than curator Christiane Matz.
Christiane, how many times have you assembled this armor before today?
One time.
One time?
Yeah, it's a really new find. It's from 2017, and the conservation work has just finished. So we had it on display in our museum in Calcresa.
Your English is really good.
Museum. And it was shown for the first time from June to November. And now it's the second time on display, and it's here in London in the British Museum.
It almost feels like this is a very, very delicate puzzle. It's resorted, isn't it? And so many bits of it survive. It's extraordinarily well.
Oh my god. If you clean this up, you could tell me this is from like the 1910s, and I would believe you. But not the whole thing, just the... Wow. Someone worked on this 2 millennia ago. They fasten this thing on here. They put you get my point, right?
Preserved, including those details on it.
These details show us a lot of the construction of such kind of armor. It's the first time we have such an armor from the Roman legions. It's so exciting. We knew now a lot more. We have so much information about this special kind of armor.
Please tell me it's from Teutoburg Forest. I am so rarely right on things. Let me be right.
Here it is in all its glory. It's known as lorica segmentata, segmented armor. 30 metal plates survive, roughly 3/4 of the complete set, and they are all carefully fitted onto this specially designed frame. To find out more about this incredible piece, I'm meeting the exhibition's curator, Richard Abdi.
So I know that this is Lorica segmentata. What materials is it made out of?
Ah, well, we call it Lorica segmentata, but we don't actually know what the Romans called it, so it's kind of a modern term in Latin. But the material that it's made out of is iron, mostly. All the bands, the plates are iron, but there's a lot of fittings, loads of buckles and washers, and these are copper alloy materials.
Bronze.
Because the details of arming is astonishing. So those are buckles right there. Do we know how they were used to kind of create and kind of tighten this body armor?
Well, we do.
Like a
this
belt,
is a
I'm
particularly
assuming.
good example because you can see that there's buckles inside and outside. The inside buckles would have held straps that held the whole structure together.
Yes,
and that's something that wasn't very well understood until the first near complete pieces of segmental armour came to light. People were looking at representations on, for example, Trajan's column and not quite fully understanding how it fitted together. But with this, you can see every buckle tells you exactly how the plates were fitted together. On the front, obviously, these buckles.
I know it's not it's not exactly a very complicated way, but the fact that like the belt in my closet it looks the same with how it's fastened as this is. It's not that crazy, right? It's a good idea, but the fact that we still use it is kind of cool.
Would have held the cuirass in place, and it's so well preserved that you can see that some of these buckles are actually open. So it is an amazing piece.
I mean, obviously, I'm wearing a belt today, so it does feel really wasteful. That's 2,000 years ago. Romans were using similar types of things to fasten this armor together.
So I'm not alone.
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing new under the sun.
Okay, he gets giddy about it too. I'm not alone here. You can
This
tell
armor together.
he's
Yes,
excited.
absolutely. There's nothing new under the sun in that respect.
2,000 years ago, at the beginning of the first millennium, Lorica segmentata was a brand new piece of high-tech equipment for the Roman army. Slowly, it replaced chainmail as the body armor of choice for legionaries. The origins of segmentata are unknown, but potentially it emerged from the arenas of Italy and its
That's when you said the origins of segmentata are unknown. I was about to say something that fits there, so I'm saying it here. One of the reasons I would love to go back to a time like the Roman Empire isn't just to see what it was like in the Roman Empire. If I could be like a sort of, you ever see like Christmas Carol, like the ghost of past, where like you can see everything, but you're not actually there, so I can't like get impaled or die from diseases. You know what I mean? I could go back there. I didn't need to say that. And just so like I can see what records they have of even more previous stuff, you know, I would love to know, as much as I am interested in sort of pre-antiquity, okay, which means like antiquity is like the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans, right? But like before that, Bronze Age, before that, we just don't have enough. There's just not enough evidence from it, and maybe it never really existed. But there a lot more evidence definitely existed back then, in the Roman times of that, than now. I think it's really cool thinking about points in history as the present. I think it's so difficult for us to realize that we're living in a point in time that 1,000 years from now is going to be thought of as just another point in history. And to go back when they don't think they're ancient, they are, if anything, seem more futuristic for themselves. And so I wonder what they kind of came from that were kind of less sophisticated, or maybe even more sophisticated. I don't want to go into a whole like theory about like maybe there was even more advanced civilizations before then. Maybe that's the case. But there's just so much history that is lost, and we can only do like so much through archaeological evidence to piece it together. I would just like to view a time where maybe it was a little more obvious what happened before.
segmentata are unknown,
I hope that makes sense.
but potentially it emerged from the arenas of Italy and its iconic sportsmen, the gladiators.
A specialist form of gladiator called a crupularius would have worn this, and there are some surviving examples of it in Roman art. He looks like a kind of a tin man with a bucket head and segmental body armour and armoured limbs, so the whole body is completely armoured. The earliest references to crupularius is in the revolt of Florus and Sacrovir, so early 1st century, and this is round about a very similar period, so there seems to be a sort of cross-fertilisation between the two forms of combat.
And later on, what kind of differences are introduced to this type of armour?
Well, this early form of armour, it has some shoulder protection, but it's not very wide or deep. It's more kind of tank topish, if you like. The later armour, for example, the Corbridge armour, the famous Corbridge find, we have one of
crocodile. Is that actual crocodile back skin, or is that just to mimic it? That's badass too.
A dozen. For example, the Corbridge armour, the famous Corbridge find, we have one of half a dozen cuirasses that were discovered there in the exhibition. That shows a much more elaborate form of shoulder protection, flexible but protecting the shoulder. And then the final stage after that is for the removal of all these exterior hinges and washers from the front, mainly putting them inside, because these are very vulnerable to battle damage.
And I've also got to ask about maintenance of something like this. Let's say you're a Roman soldier, but your armour starts to get a bit dirty or worn down, and you had to maintain it. Do we know much about how they'd be able to disassemble something like this?
Well, we know a lot about the kind of high maintenance nature of this stuff from reenactors. They can tell us all about it.
Brilliant.
So with segmental armour, you've got about 40 pieces. They're all held together with buckles and straps, as you can see from the inside. That has to be...
Would they have the gaps, though? I mean,
completely disassembled, if you like, and then each bit cleaned up, polished up. The alternative might be to wear a chainmail cuirass, but then a chainmail cuirass is something that takes a long time to create. It's a very intricate piece, but it's very low maintenance. Reenactors have found that you can shine up a chainmail cuirass just by putting it in a bucket of grit and rolling it around, or a barrel of grit, rather.
But perhaps the most fascinating part of this armour's story is the devastating Roman defeat that intertwines with it.
Teutoburg.
In 9 AD, a coalition of Germanic tribes...
I was right for once. Oh my god.
...ambushed and annihilated 3 Roman legions east of the River Rhine in the Teutoburg forest. The ambush occurred over several days, and at the site of Calcresa in Germany, archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of Roman military objects dating to that exact period, including this segmentata.
Question.
It has led...
I wonder what... We know kind of the borders of like Roman territory to its greatest extent, but this is actually a super good question I have. What is the furthest extent... I mean... in all directions, but I'm thinking more like central, northern, northeastern, eastern Europe. Like, what is the furthest extent of archaeological findings of period accurate Roman stuff? Doesn't just have to be this, but evidence that Roman armies reached that point. I'd be curious.
To many to conclude that this was a battlefield of that devastating ambush.
If anyone happens to know that,
which
I'd
could
love to
mean
know it.
the Roman soldier who once wore this armour was a victim of this crushing defeat.
Probably a giant German with a beard and a giant hammer. I don't
Do you
know.
have any idea what the story is behind this particular piece?
Well, the soil that this comes from isn't very good at preserving bones, I gather. But I have been told by the Calcresa people that somebody died inside. They know that from the chemical traces in the soil. So we're looking at a casualty of the battlefield of Calcresa.
Wow, and Calcresa, of course, is associated with that massive defeat the Romans suffered in Germania, 9 AD, Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. Amazing to think this could have been one of those unfortunate legionaries who perished in that several-day-long ambush.
Absolutely, yes. It's an amazing place. 3 whole legions, expeditionary force across the Rhine, perished, absolutely annihilated. It's amazing we can find one today.
For all its depictions in movies, games, and books today, only a handful of Lorica segmentata fragments have ever been found. There is still so much we don't know about this iconic cuirass. Slowly but surely, however, thanks to extraordinary new discoveries like this, new information is coming to light. For now, this is the earliest and most complete set of this armour ever discovered. For now.
It is amazing to see this centre stage in the exhibition, having watched Christiane and the team assembling it down in the lab. And I must say, it is quickly becoming one of my favourite Roman artefacts. It's that great combination of a stunning level of detail surviving, alongside an absolutely alluring story. The story of an unnamed Roman soldier who lived and died, who wore this armour, may well have perished in it more than 2,000 years ago.
I'm not a religious person, but I think I would have as close as I could get to a sort of religious experience if I could just like touch something like this. Just knowing that, just like you're looking around right now and people were like us back then and put this together. Just so cool to think about. I'm going. Barschlacht. That was awesome. Loved it. Love you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you learned something or can teach me something in the comments. I'm ready to watch some more videos after this. I have some lined up. Yeah. Hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully I'll see you next video. Bye, guys.